The rain hammered against the windows of our small cottage in the Cotswolds, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For 20 years our lives, Eamon and mine, had been a tapestry woven with shared dreams and quiet moments. I was a carpenter, content in my workshop, crafting furniture that spoke of simpler times. Eamon, with her fiery red hair and infectious laughter, was a primary school teacher, shaping young minds with patience and love. Or so I thought. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Eamon began staying late at school, claiming extra lessons and parent-teacher conferences. I didn't question it. I trusted her implicitly. Our evenings, once filled with lively conversation and shared meals, became quiet affairs punctuated by her tired sighs and preoccupied silence. She'd scroll endlessly on her phone, a faint, secretive smile playing on her lips. One cold November evening, I decided to surprise her with a home-cooked meal. I left my workshop early, a bouquet of her favorite daffodils clutched in my hand. As I approached the school, I noticed her car parked not in the staff lot but around the back near the playing fields. Curiosity gnawed at me. I walked towards it, my footsteps muffled by the damp grass. Through the frosted windows of a small storage shed, I saw them. Eamon and a man, locked in a passionate embrace. The man was Ciarán, the new assistant head teacher, a slick, arrogant man who always seemed to linger a little too long whenever he spoke to Eamon at school events. My world tilted on its axis. The daffodils slipped from my grasp, scattering on the muddy ground. I stood there, frozen, the scene playing out before me like a grotesque pantomime. The rain intensified, washing away the last vestiges of my naive trust. I didn't confront them then. I couldn't. The shock was too profound, the betrayal too raw. I stumbled back home, the image seared into my mind. The cottage, once a sanctuary of love and warmth, now felt like a prison, suffocating me with its memories. That night Eamon came home late, her cheeks flushed, her eyes bright. "Long day," she said, her voice a little too cheerful. I simply nodded, unable to meet her gaze. I couldn't bring myself to speak, to accuse. The words felt like shards of glass, lodged in my throat. Sleepless, I replayed the scene in my mind, each detail a fresh stab of pain. How could she? How could she betray our love, our life together, with such callous disregard? I thought of our vows, the promises we made before God and our families. Were they all lies? Was our entire relationship a sham? The next morning I feigned illness and stayed home from work. I needed to think, to process, to decide what to do. As Eamon got ready for school, she seemed unusually nervous, avoiding my eyes. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked, her voice laced with a false concern. I managed a weak smile. "Just a bit under the weather, I'll be fine." After she left, I went into her study. I knew I shouldn't, that it was a violation of her privacy, but I couldn't help myself. I needed answers, some explanation for her actions. I started with her laptop, hoping to find some clue, some indication of what had been going on. Her password was the same as always: our wedding anniversary. The irony was almost unbearable. I checked her emails first, sifting through the usual school correspondence and mundane personal messages. Then I found them. A string of emails to Ciarán, filled with passionate declarations of love and clandestine meeting arrangements. They had been planning this affair for months, orchestrating their deceit with meticulous care. The words blurred before my eyes, each sentence a hammer blow to my soul. They spoke of their longing for each other, their stolen moments of passion, their dreams of a future together. Eamon described me as stodgy and unexciting, a relic of a bygone era. She painted a picture of our marriage as a suffocating prison, a life sentence she desperately wanted to escape. Rage, hot and consuming, surged through me. I slammed the laptop shut, the screen cracking under the force of my blow. I wanted to scream, to break things, to unleash the fury that was building inside me. But I couldn't. I was paralyzed by a profound sense of grief and betrayal. I spent the rest of the day in a daze, wandering aimlessly around the cottage. I looked at the photographs on the walls, snapshots of our life together. Eamon and I, laughing on our honeymoon in Italy. Eamon and I, celebrating our 10th wedding anniversary with friends and family. Eamon and I, planting daffodils in our garden on a sunny spring day. Each image was a painful reminder of what I had lost, of the future that had been stolen from me. That evening Eamon returned home, her face a mask of forced cheerfulness. I watched her, studying her every move, every expression. I saw the guilt in her eyes, the subtle tension in her shoulders. She knew I knew. The silence in the room was thick and heavy, pregnant with unspoken accusations. Finally, I broke the silence. "I know," I said, my voice flat and devoid of emotion. Eamon's face crumpled. Tears welled up in her eyes. "How?" she whispered. "I saw you," I said, "at the school, with Ciarán." She didn't deny it. She couldn't. The truth was etched on her face. "It just happened," she said, her voice barely audible. "I didn't mean for it to happen." "What do you mean it just happened?" I asked, my voice rising. "You planned it, Eamon. I read your emails. You've been lying to me for months." She started to cry, great heaving sobs that shook her entire body. "I'm so sorry, Geraint," she said. "I never meant to hurt you, but you did hurt me," I said, my voice trembling. "You shattered my heart, Eamon. You destroyed everything we had." She reached out to touch me, but I recoiled. "Don't," I said. "Don't touch me, please, Geraint. Give me a chance to explain," she begged. "There's nothing to explain," I said. "It's over, Eamon. I want you to leave." She looked at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Leave? Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't care," I said. "Just go. I can't stand to look at you anymore." She packed a bag, her movements slow and deliberate. As she walked out the door, she turned and looked at me, her face streaked with tears. "I'll always love you, Geraint," she said. "Even though I don't deserve you." I didn't respond. I simply closed the door and locked it behind her. I stood there for a long time, listening to the sound of her car driving away. Then I sank to the floor and wept. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, divorce papers, and tearful phone calls from friends and family. Eamon moved in with Ciarán, a decision that shocked and disgusted everyone who knew them. The small community in the Cotswolds buzzed with gossip and speculation. I became the subject of pity and sympathy, the wronged husband, the victim of a cruel and senseless betrayal. I tried to focus on my work, to lose myself in the familiar rhythm of sawing and hammering. But it was no use. The image of Eamon and Ciarán together haunted me, poisoning my thoughts and undermining my concentration. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't find any joy in the things that had once brought me pleasure. One day, I received a letter from Eamon. It was a long, rambling apology, filled with self-pity and justifications for her actions. She claimed that she had been unhappy for years, that I had become too predictable and boring, that Ciarán had awakened a part of her that had long been dormant. She begged me to forgive her, to understand her, to see things from her perspective. I crumpled the letter in my fist and threw it in the fire. I didn't want to understand her. I didn't want to forgive her. I wanted to forget her, to erase her from my memory, to move on with my life. But it wasn't that easy. Eamon had been a part of my life for so long. She was woven into the fabric of my being. Her absence left a gaping hole in my heart, a void that seemed impossible to fill. As the weeks turned into months, I started to emerge from my grief. I began to take care of myself again, to exercise, to eat properly, to spend time with friends and family. I even started dating, tentatively, cautiously, testing the waters of the dating pool. One evening I was having dinner with Bryn, a kind and intelligent woman I had met at a local art gallery. We were talking about our lives, our hopes, our dreams. As I spoke, I realized that I was no longer defined by Eamon's betrayal. I was no longer a victim. I was Geraint, a carpenter, a friend, a lover, a man with a future. Just then my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated for a moment, then answered it. "Hello," I said. "Geraint, it's Eamon," a weak, trembling voice said. My heart sank. I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to hear her voice. But I couldn't bring myself to hang up. "What do you want, Eamon?" I asked, my voice cold. "I need your help," she said. "Ciarán left me, left you?" I asked, a flicker of satisfaction igniting within me. "Yes," she said. "He ran off with another woman. He took all my money, everything. I have nothing." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, my voice devoid of sympathy. "Please, Geraint, can I come home?" she begged. "I have nowhere else to go." I paused for a moment, considering her plea. Part of me, the part that still loved her, wanted to say yes, to welcome her back into my life. But the other part, the part that had been betrayed and wounded, knew that I couldn't. I couldn't trust her again. I couldn't risk being hurt again. "No, Eamon," I said. "You can't come home. You made your choice. Now you have to live with the consequences." I hung up the phone, a sense of closure washing over me. I had finally freed myself from her grasp. I had finally moved on. I looked at Bryn, who was watching me with a mixture of concern and understanding. I smiled. Sorry about that, I said. Where were we? Bront smiled back. We were talking about the future, she said, and I think it's looking pretty bright. I reached across the table and took her hand. I think you're right, I said. I think it is years past. I married Bront, a woman of unwavering loyalty and genuine affection. We built a life together filled with love, laughter, and mutual respect. Eamon's name was rarely spoken, a ghost from a past I preferred to forget. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she had fallen on hard times, drifting from one relationship to another, never finding the happiness she had so carelessly thrown away. One crisp autumn day, I received an unexpected visitor. It was Ciarán, looking haggard and defeated. He stood on my doorstep, his eyes pleading. "Geraint, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness," he began, his voice raspy, "but I need your help." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "My help? After what you did, it's Eamon," he said, his voice cracking. She's very ill, she has cancer, and she doesn't have long to live." My heart clenched. Despite everything, a part of me still cared for her. "What does she want?" I asked. "She wants to see you," Ciarán said. "She wants to ask for your forgiveness before she dies." I hesitated. Did I want to see her? Did I want to reopen old wounds? But the thought of her dying alone, filled with regret, was unbearable. "All right," I said. "I'll go." The hospice was a quiet, sterile place, filled with the scent of antiseptic and the hushed whispers of nurses. Ciarán led me to Eamon's room. As I entered, I saw her lying in bed, her face pale and gaunt, her once fiery red hair now thin and lifeless. She looked frail and vulnerable, a shadow of the woman I had once loved. She opened her eyes when she heard me enter. A faint smile flickered across her lips. "Geraint," she whispered, "thank you for coming." I sat down beside her bed, taking her hand in mine. Her skin was cold and dry. "How are you feeling?" I asked, my voice gentle. "Not good," she said, "but I'm at peace. I've made my peace with God and with me." I asked. She squeezed my hand. "Yes," she said. "I'm so sorry, Geraint, for everything. I was a fool. I threw away the best thing in my life for a moment of fleeting pleasure. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope you can find it in your heart to give it to me." I looked at her, at the pain and regret etched on her face. I knew that she was truly sorry. I knew that she had suffered the consequences of her actions. "I forgive you, Eamon," I said. "I forgave you a long time ago." Tears streamed down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." We sat in silence for a few minutes, holding hands. Then she spoke again. "Geraint," she said, "there's one more thing I need to tell you." I leaned closer, listening intently. "Ciarán isn't the only one I had an affair with," she said. "There was someone else. A long time ago, before Ciarán, even before we were married." I frowned, confused. "Who?" I asked. She hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. "It was your brother," she said. "Bryn." The words hit me like a physical blow. My brother, Bryn, the man I had trusted and loved my entire life. It was impossible. "No," I said. "That's not true. You're lying." "I'm not lying," she said. "It happened just once, a long time ago, but it happened." I stared at her, my mind reeling. My wife, my brother, a betrayal that cut deeper than anything I could have imagined. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Because I wanted you to know the truth," she said. "Before I die, I wanted to clear my conscience." I stood up, my legs shaking. I couldn't stay there any longer. I couldn't bear to look at her. "I have to go," I said. "I can't do this." I turned and walked out of the room, leaving her alone with her secrets and her regrets. I drove home in a daze, my mind numb. The rain started again, a cold, relentless downpour that mirrored the turmoil inside me. I thought of Bryn, of our childhood together, of the bond we shared. Had it all been a lie? Had he been secretly betraying me all these years? I arrived home to find Bront waiting for me, her face etched with concern. I told her everything, about Eamon's illness, about her confession, about Bryn. Bront held me close, offering comfort and support. "I'm so sorry, Geraint," she said. "This is terrible. I don't know what to do," I said. "I don't know who to trust anymore." "You can trust me," she said. "And you can trust yourself. You're a good man, Geraint. You'll get through this." I spent the next few days wrestling with my emotions. I couldn't bring myself to confront Bryn. I couldn't face the possibility that he had betrayed me. Then one evening Bryn called. "Geraint, I heard about Eamon," he said. "I'm so sorry." I hesitated for a moment, then decided to confront him. "Eamon told me something," I said. "She told me that that you had an affair." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "Is it true, Bryn?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Yes," he said, his voice barely audible. It's true. It happened a long time ago. I was young and stupid. I'm so sorry, Geraint. I never meant to hurt you. Rage surged through me, a white-hot fury that threatened to consume me. You betrayed me, I said. You betrayed our family. How could you do that to me? I don't know, he said. I was weak. I made a mistake. Please, Geraint, can you ever forgive me? No, I said. I can never forgive you. I don't want to see you again. Don't ever contact me again. I hung up the phone, severing the last ties with my brother. I was alone, truly alone, with nothing but my pain and my anger. Eamon died a few weeks later. I didn't attend her funeral. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I mourned the loss of the woman I had once loved, but I also mourned the loss of my brother, the loss of my innocence, the loss of my faith in humanity. Over time, the pain began to fade. The scars remained, but they were no longer raw and bleeding. I focused on my work, on my marriage to Bront, on building a new life, a life free from betrayal and deceit. Years later, I was working in my workshop when I received a visit from a young woman. She introduced herself as Alara, Eamon's daughter from a previous relationship. I remembered her as a shy, awkward teenager. Geraint, I know this is difficult, she said, but I need to ask you something. What is it? I asked, my heart sinking. My mother told me something before she died, she said. Something about my real father. I frowned, confused. What do you mean? She told me that you are my real father, she said. That she had an affair with you before she married my stepfather. I stared at her, stunned. It couldn't be true, could it? I don't know what to say, I said. I had no idea. I know, she said. She kept it a secret all these years, but she wanted me to know the truth before she died. I looked at Alara, at her eyes, her smile, her mannerisms. I saw a resemblance, a faint echo of myself. Could she be my daughter? I think we should get a DNA test, I said. A few weeks later, the results came back. Alara was my daughter. My life had taken another unexpected turn, a twist of fate that I could never have predicted. I welcomed Alara into my life with open arms. She was a kind, intelligent, and compassionate woman. We formed a close bond, a father-daughter relationship that filled a void in both our lives. As I looked at Alara, I realized that Eamon's betrayal had not destroyed me. It had changed me, it had wounded me, but it had also led me to something beautiful, something precious. I had lost a wife, a brother, and my innocence, but I had gained a daughter, a new perspective on life, and a renewed appreciation for the power of love and forgiveness. And so, my story ends not with revenge or bitterness, but with acceptance and hope. I learned that betrayal can leave deep scars, but it can also pave the way for unexpected blessings. I learned that forgiveness is not always easy, but it is always necessary. And I learned that even in the darkest of times, love can still find a way to bloom.